Hey everybody, it's probably Red. All right, so we're gonna jump right into the Cataclysm arcade. We've got our rules set. If you just go to the Learn to Play page, and there's a new download right here for how to play. So we're just gonna go over that. I got it zoomed in 175. I got a cool Cataclysm arcade logo right here. And in fact, I forgot to do this last time, but we're gonna go ahead and go full screen on it. Um, and then we'll just do it like that, so it's a lot more easy to see here. And maybe we could even zoom in one more time to 200, maybe more. Let's see. No, 200's good. Well, actually, let's get specific. 225. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. So I'm just gonna go through. There is a Good Time Society, and they've got a video like that's quick how to play guide and goes through all the rules and everything. But I just thought it'd be interesting to actually see the document now that it's available and just kind of go over that together. And then I'll be like highlighting. I printed it out on paper. Oh, whoopsies. I printed it on paper so that I can go ahead and try and highlight if I notice anything that's like noteworthy, just to kind of point that out. Yeah, just to have like, oh, that's like not that it's not intuitive, but like that it's just like something you would have to, know the specific rules of the game to know. Yeah, so let's go ahead and start with step one, introduction. And I'm just going to read it word for word as we go and kind of make notes when things pop up. Okay, so Cataclysm Arcade is a trading card game that is set in a world where fighters battle to become the best fighter in the universe. Okay, cool. So your objectives: the first player to kill all opposing bosses wins. All right, so we're already on step two. Basic gameplay. Okay, so here's an overview. The game starts at level 1, and the game level increases by 1 at the conclusion of each turn. Every turn, each player receives a resource called coins equal in number to the game's current level. A random player is selected to be player 1, and this designation rotates to the next player clockwise each level. At the beginning of each level, each player draws a card. Then each player takes turns making moves until all players pass. Once all players have passed, the next level begins. So it's kind of got an action based system here, where everybody takes one action, and we'll see that as we go through the rules. But takes one action, and then it's the next player's turn. So you can't really like do solitaire combo off kind of stuff. But you can. We'll go through the rules. Let's keep going actually, before I go on a tangent about that, because I'm sure it'll discuss that as we go. So your win or lose conditions are the last player with a boss wins. So there is no milling out in this game, or like if you run out of cards and you draw draw when you have no cards, you still don't lose. But we'll see. It'll tell us. There's a golden rule. If the rules text of a card contradicts the game rules, the text of the card takes precedence. Okay, so that gives cards the ability to kind of have like rule breaking effects that change the way the game plays, which is very interesting. Okay, so now the game setup. Okay, so Cataclysm Arcade can be played 1v1 or multiplayer. To start the game, each player selects a single boss and puts it into play. If playing a constructed match, each player must have a 40 card deck. If playing from a single booster, the remaining non boss, non token cards from your pack constitute your deck. In either case, each player then shuffles their deck and draws 4 cards. Okay, so there is a mulligan rule. Once at the beginning of the game, you may set aside any number of cards in your initial hand and then draw that many, then shuffle the set aside cards into your deck. Okay, so here's the turn structure. Okay, so all players untap all of their tapped cards unless otherwise noted. Then each player draws a card. Then each player adds coins to their coin pool equal to the current level. Any unspent coins are lost at the end of each level. The current player 1 gains the initiative. The player with the initiative chooses from one of the following moves. Okay, so we got 5 options here. Well, maybe a little bit more than 5, but 5 types of options here. Okay, so you can play a fighter, play a tactic, or play a weapon. Okay, and then you can activate an ability. You could attack with a fighter or attack with a boss. You could wield a weapon, or you could pass. Okay, so those are all your options there. All right, so now the line. If a player chooses a move other than pass, all the other players get an opportunity to respond to this choice. The chosen move forms the first element in the line. So, starting with the next player in clockwise order, players receive priority to take a response action. So, like if you're player 1 this level, then the person to your left would get a chance to respond. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so response actions consist of response cards and abilities that say response. If a player chooses to respond, the action they take is added to the top of the line, and the next player clockwise then receives priority. This process continues until no one chooses to play a response. At that time, the top ability on the line resolves, and priority to play a response is given to the next player clockwise from the player who added the just resolved ability to the line. Okay. This process repeats for each ability on the line until all have resolved. Okay, and then it has a note here. Note that you cannot respond to your own moves or responses. You can only respond to an opponent's moves or responses. Okay. So this is a pretty advanced thing and something that, like, I mean, I played Magic the Gathering since I was like, I don't know, probably like 8 years old or something like that. A long time. So, you know, and it wasn't until way after. Like, I mean, I even played on Friday Night Magics and stuff before I understood what priority was. Um, I might have when I was playing, there might not have even, like, when I first started playing, there might even not have been that like type of priority, but that's a whole nother discussion. So yeah, so basically you get the opportunity to respond to the action to the action that's on the line, or the the what do they call it, the top of the line. Okay, the process continues. His response at the time, the top ability. Okay, so the top ability, you go around the line, and then you can all react if you want, and then that resolves. And then, so this is a key here. Once that resolves, there's a whole nother line where you can react before that ability goes off. Is how I'm understanding this. So you could say, I don't want to respond to that, but I'll respond to the next ability, or after these 2 abilities respond, then I'll respond, that sort of thing. You still get a chance to do that. Okay, so next, if the resolution of a response or a move results in the creation of a triggered ability, that ability is placed on the top of the line, and the player with initiative gets priority. Okay, so scrolling up a little bit, the player with initiative. Okay, so the current player 1 gains the initiative. The player with initiative chooses. Okay, so we kind of, it doesn't specify how initiative changes, but I'm assuming initiative will change as, like, once you take an action, the next person will get initiative, or that could just be whoever player 1 always has initiative that level. I don't know. So let's see. After completion of the chosen move, the next player in clockwise order who has not already passed, then, okay, so there we go. It's resolving that. The next player in clockwise order who has not already passed then has the initiative and may choose a move. This process continues until all players have chosen to pass. Then a new level begins, and the next player in clockwise order becomes the new player 1. Okay. So I think I would, I mean, you kind of just know because you're like the first person to play, but I think it would be cool to have like a chip or something to like represent who's going as player 1, like, and then pass it around. But that might not be a good idea. I don't know. But it's a possible thing you could do. And it doesn't change the rules. It just kind of like helps you remember who was player one. But you're taking action, so you'll know how the initiative moves. Okay, so that makes sense. Next, once a player has chosen pass as a move, they can only take response actions for the rest of the level. Okay. So you can still respond after you've passed. Okay. You may activate abilities and attacks of fighters the turn they come into play, provided you have priority and you can pay the cost. Okay, so everything has haste, basically, if you think about it that way, if you're coming like from Magic. But yeah, you don't have to wait to activate your stuff as long as you have tokens and priority. Okay. An attack or an ability with a tap symbol causes the boss or fighter to tap, and they cannot attack or use tap abilities again this level unless otherwise noted. So agility would be like an otherwise noted kind of thing. Okay, so next, when a fighter leaves play, that card goes to the discard pile unless otherwise specified, and the same is true for any card that is used or destroyed. Okay, so that would be like responses and, stuff that gets destroyed too. Okay, so now we're on to the combat section. Okay, so after choosing attack as your move, you select an untapped fighter or boss that you control and pay coins equal to that character's attack cost. Note that you cannot select the attack move if you are unable to pay for an attack cost. After paying the cost, you tap the selected character. Okay. Select an untapped fighter or boss you control and pay coins. Okay, so it's telling you how to attack. All right. Next, choose a target fighter or boss controlled by an opponent. The attacking character deals damage equal to its attack value to that character when the attack resolves. Attacking uses the line and can be responded to as normal. Okay, so like other actions and tactics and all that kind of stuff, it does go onto the stack essentially, or on the line essentially, for reactions and responses and stuff. Okay, so note, there is no reciprocal damage when attacking, so the defending player does not deal damage to the attacker. Okay, so you have to pay for your attacks, and when you do, you don't get hit back by the defender. Excellent, good to know. Okay, so damage reduces the health of a character equal to the amount dealt. If this reduces a fighter's health to 0 or less, it is destroyed and placed in the discard pile. If a boss is reduced to 0 or less health, that player has been defeated and is out of the game. Note that health does not increase or heal between levels. Okay, so damage is permanent, unless you can heal it in another way. Okay, so here's more about winning the game. In a one-on-one game, you will win once the opposing boss is defeated. But in a multiplayer game, you'll win by being the last player to have an undefeated boss. So it switches from like a duel into like a survival challenge. Okay, so once a player's boss has been defeated, that player is out of the game and all cards owned by that player are removed from the game. Okay, section 3, card types. Okay, so first we have boss. Bosses represent each player's leader in the game. If a player's boss is defeated, that player loses the game. Boss starts in play. At the beginning of the game, each player selects one boss for their deck and puts it into play. If playing a constructed match, the faction of the boss chosen will determine the allowable cards in your deck. A boss starts the game with health equal to its printed value. Okay, so our next card type is fighter. One second. Okay. So fighters represent the frontline forces that your boss uses to attack other bosses in the game. Okay. A fighter can be played when you have the initiative and the game level equals or exceeds the fighter's level requirement. So fighters have no cost to play. Playing a fighter uses the line and may be responded to. Important, you may only have one fighter of the same name in play at a time. If you play a second fighter of the same name, you must select only one of those fighters to keep in play. The other is immediately destroyed. So this is kind of like the legend rule, but everybody has it. Everybody's like a unique character. Okay, so that's pretty cool. There is one character, Gizzard, I think. I think it's Gizzard. There's like a pigeon person, in the Shifter faction who has like is able to break that rule. But other than that, like you get one in play. So that's kind of like an in deck building constraints. You're gonna kind of want to consider: is it better to have a second unit just so I don't like have when I draw my 4 cards, end up having 3 of the same card and like only be able to have one of them. So we'll see how that plays out too. Okay, next, tactics. Tactics, okay, so the next type of card is a tactics card. Tactics represent strategies that your boss takes to help defeat their enemies. Okay, so I got an error here, but that's fine. So a tactics can be played when you have the initiative and have enough coins to pay the tactics cost. You may not select this move if you cannot pay for a tactic card. Tactics use a line and may be responded to. Okay, so let's see. We got responses. Response definition. Okay, so responses are the only card that can be played when other players have the initiative. You may not play a response when you have the initiative and the line is empty. You may not play a response in response to another ability you added to the line. Responses may be played when you have priority following a player selecting any move other than pass. You may not play a response if a player selects pass as their move. Okay, so you can't respond to passing. Okay. You may pay the associated cost for the response, or you must pay the associated cost for the response in order to play it. Responses use a line and may in turn be responded to by other players. And we've got weapon. Weapon definition. Okay. A weapon can be played when you have the initiative and the game level equals or exceeds the weapon's level requirement. Weapons have no cost to play, similar to fighters. Okay, so weapons have no cost to play. Playing now, okay, I have a question here in a second, but we'll get to that. Playing a weapon uses the line and can be responded to. When the action resolves, the weapon enters play wielded by a fighter on your team. Indicate this by placing the weapon under the chosen fighter. If no fighters are in play, the weapon enters unwielded. Okay, so you can still play a weapon even if there's no fighters out, and it just kind of stays on the board. Okay, so this is interesting. I didn't know this, and this was one of my questions I had, but I have another one too. Important. You may only have one weapon of the same name. Oh, my phone. You may only have one weapon of the same name in play at a time. If a second weapon with the same name enters play, immediately choose one to keep. The other is destroyed. You may choose to wield a weapon when you have the initiative and have the coins to play the wield cost. This move causes an unwielded weapon to be wielded by a fighter, or a currently wielded weapon to be wielded by another fighter. This move uses the line and can be responded to. If a weapon has an attack ability modifier, it is added to the attack ability of the character wielding it. Weapons may also have other abilities. These are only applied to the character wielding it unless otherwise noted on the weapon card. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so I'm wondering if you have like tokens that are generated. Do they count as fighters for the purposes of the one fighter, the same name, and play at a single time? Maybe it'll tell us in a second. Okay, so card anatomy. You've got the name. Okay, and we probably should pull up a card for this. Yeah. So name, image, card type, indicator, rarity, attributes, and stats. Okay, so let's look at a card. And some of the cards have like different like stuff going on, but let's look at Skell. Okay, so Skell, Nimble Adversary, is this character's name. Okay, right here. And then the image. We can see the image here. The card type indicator, is it a boss, a fighter, a tactic, a response, or a weapon? And this one is a fighter. And then rarity. This is a common. And rarity goes up to uncommon, rare, or mythic, as well as it being commons as well. And then there's attributes and stats. Okay, top left. For fighters and weapons, we have our level cost. So this comes out at level 1. The level number that indicates the game level at which they may be played. And then coin cost. So this is the wrong type of card for this. We would be looking for like a tactic or something like that. So let's see. Let's do, yeah. So this one is a 2 cost. Yeah. And then back to Skell. Skell has 2 health. So how much damage a boss or fighter can take before it dies. When a fighter dies, it is put in your discard pile. When a boss dies, you lose the game. And then the attack cost, middle left for fighters and bosses. Middle left. Okay, so this is a 0 attack cost unit, our fighter here. And then the attack ability is the amount of damage dealt when a fighter or boss attacks, not including any enhancements or effects for the level. So it's in the middle right, and this does 1 attack damage. Okay, and then rules text. In the case of Skell, it's flavor text because they are a vanilla unit. They don't have any special rules texts. Okay. So then gameplay options. Constructed deck rules. A deck consists of 1 boss and at least 40 other cards. Okay, so you can have more than 40 if you want. But since you shuffle your, well, we'll get to that, but you shuffle your discard back in when you need to draw a card and you can't. So having 40 is going to really help with consistency because you're not scared of mill. So, Okay, card limits. Constructed decks can only consist of cards having the faction of your boss and 1 other faction of your choice. A deck can include no more than 3 copies of any specific card. Okay, single pack rules. Cataclysm Arcade can be played from a single booster pack. To do so, remove any punch-out cards, instructions, art cards, or tokens, and set them aside. Then put the boss card into play. Shuffle the remaining cards. These will form your deck for the game. Okay, so then we have the glossary just for some different terminology that might come up. I really want to know. So that's good to have, just like to print out and like, oh, if this says this, then, you know. And these will come up as we go through the cards too. So we're not going to read the glossary right now, but it's there and it's available. I really wish we could figure out if you could have more than 1 of the same token. But I mean, that was kind of a quick one. I hope you enjoyed the video today. And I hope this helped you with understanding the rules. Like and subscribe if you like content like this, and have a good one.